Okay, we have in the studio Nnamdi Nweke, who is a legal practitioner and representing one of the presidents of the National Youth Council. Nnamdi Nweke, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Also here is the incumbent president of the National Youth Council. I'm saying it as they say it, please. The incumbent president of the National Youth Council, Dr. Yakubu Shendam. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Also here is the president of the National Youth Council, or the new president of the National Youth Council. He is Mr. Ugo Chinyere Ikenga. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And here also is Ambassador Dixon Ako, who is representing the Board of Trustees of the National Youth Council.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here.
Okay. I believe we have all the parties here. So, gentlemen, question number one. I don't know who I'm going to ask this question, so maybe somebody can just answer. Well, maybe you would answer. Why
are there two presidents?
Why the crisis in the leadership of the National Youth Council?
Well, of recent people see National Youth Council as a platform for political patronage. Originally, it was designed to serve as an umbrella body of all youth organizations. And the constitution of the National Youth Council made specific prescription on the qualification for an organization to sponsor a candidate into youth council. But we have today what I would call VIO merchant. That is a voluntary youth organization merchant, that they form a name, get into the computer center, whatever looks like an email becomes a logo. And they design a name so that they can use this name to have access to political leadership in the youth council. The youth council in the olden days was meant to encourage youth organizations to do the needful in order to protect the various youth organizations. Now we have 6 requirements for any organization to feature or sponsor candidate in the National Youth Council of Nigeria. 1, you must have a name. You must be registered with Corporate Affairs Commission. You must keep records of all your proceedings. And the most of it all was that you must have 2/3 in all the states of in the 6 geographical zones before you can be allowed. But we saw of recent high level of manipulation of the constitution, because what I have now, I have all the documents backing everything I'm telling you. But people tend to just say, out of impunity or deliberate arrogance, wanting to hijack the council at the detriment of the various youth organizations that ought to benefit from the federal government. Like what you say in your opening remark is quite true. We just held International Youth Day celebration. The federal government deliberately refused to invite the youth council because some people just made it, except it must be me, youth council must not be. And it is painful. I was privileged to be there because, of course, my organization met over the requirement to be an affiliate of the National Youth Council. We are invited, 3 people from my organization were invited to the celebration, but the National Youth Council wasn't there. It has turned to internet, some things you send just text messages, and that is where council is now functioning. And the youth organization, they are not benefiting from vis-a-vis Nigerian youth.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Dr. Shendam, you were a product of the elections in 2013, right?
Exactly.
And you insist you're still the president.
Of course. Well, I'm sure that is the question, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm privileged, and let me thank you very much for giving us this wonderful opportunity to once again buttress on our issues. My name is Yakubu Shendam, and I'm the president of the National Youth Council. As far as the Constitution and the Federal Ministry of Youth Development is concerned. My election was in 2013, 26th of May precisely, where we were elected. He himself was the former vice president, himself speaking, was the former deputy president of the leadership that handed over to us. In fact, coincidentally, he handed over to me because the president then absconded the election because he was also an interested party in that contest. When he saw that the ministry had a clear line of age bracket, which of course in the African Charter, the youth definition is between the age of 18 and 35. All of us went through this parameters to emerge, or rather to be screened for this election by the then Minister of Youth, Abdul, who was eventually relieved of his job as a result of this crisis we had earlier. So since then, the Ministry of Youth, which is the supervisory ministry, even though the National Youth Council is not an appendix of government, though it affiliates and relates to government, offered me a letter, which I have documented here, recognizing my structure, that look, you have been elected, and this is the document. And they wrote letter to all various security agencies, including the NIA, National Intelligence Agency, the National Assembly, the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the SSS, the Road Safety, name them, the Civil Defense, for security, excuse me, for security, and I have all these documents with me.
Okay, all right. Let me just ask you a question before I go to the other. A Lagos High Court, or if I'm reading correctly, nullified that elections of 2013.
Yes, shortly after that election, of course. So
delivered in December 2013.
Exactly.
Yes.
Shortly after that election, somebody somewhere, because the election normally was supposed to take place in Akure, where they fixed the election in the first instance. But because of security challenges, the then Minister of Youth, as the Ministry of Youth itself, was not prepared, and they issued a letter to the government of Akure. I can remember the governor is still alive, of Ondo State. The governor is still there, the governor is still in power, Mimiko, that look, because of security challenges, we cannot longer hold this election in this state. So now we all left. And at that point, I look at VRC because I was already winning the election in Akure. So some of them that were not comfortable felt that, look, if election took place in Akure, Yakubu will win. They now truncated the election and took it to Benue. As if God was on my side. The same Benue, they went there. I won. Now they went to court. They said that they are not satisfied with the election. They went and declared themselves. Somebody just went in a hotel and sat down and declared himself in Akure that he has conducted his own election in Akure. Now, if the Ministry of Youth is the supervisory organ of the council, which all of us here have agreed, now went, for the first time in history, went to Benue. All of them, the principal actor, were there, except that person who refused to come. The minister was there, the governor was there, the whole ministry was there. It was an open ceremony, just like the way it's a traditional way, an election were held. Whatever means, I know some elections might not be whatever.
So since the court nullified the election?
No, since court, no, there was no court that there was an enrollment order, because there was a challenge in the court, the Federal High Court. I came to the Federal High Court myself. So after the cases, the Federal High Court struck away that case. Excuse me, the Federal High Court struck away. There was an enrollment order, I have document here, there was an enrollment order that they are suspending my election. But at the final judgment, the judge, the Federal High Court, Justice E.O. Abang, I'm sure he's hearing me here live, he struck up the case. We can go to him and defend that. And since then, we have been operating.
Okay.
The National Secretariat of the Youth Council is in my command. The vehicles of the National Youth Council is with me right now.
Dr. Shantam, how long is your tenure supposed to last?
Very good. That is one of the very critical questions I've been waiting for. My tenure elapses 4 years because there was a revalidation of our constitution in 2013 in Lokoja, where Youth Council tenure runs for 4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
And this is 3 years. I have just 1 year to live, so I don't know where these people are getting their own power. Evidence are here to back up all this to any court in the world.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Ikenga, was the meeting at which you were elected, was it duly called?
Thank you very much. I think I'm excited about your question. It was overduly, it went through the due process. But I think for us to help the people who are listening to us out there to understand where we're coming from, it's better you have a brief history of where we're coming from that got to me, for you to be able to understand.
Very brief, please.
Yes, very brief.
We don't have too much time.
Yes, very brief. Thank God that our leader here, Dixon Akko, is here. After the tenure of Bendutoyo, that was the last time we had peace in the council. There was a Congress that was called. As a result of a judgment, he procured the judgment over exclusion of Peace Corps, his organization. And that led the council into going into new election. He ran that election with Ajani, which Ajani won. Now, when Ajani won the election, something funny happened.
Ajani was before him?
Yes, Ajani was before him, yes.
Okay.
He went back to the courts. They went back to the court to seek for stay of execution of that judgment. When they got a stay of execution, after he has participated in the election, he has benefited from his judgment. Then when he lost, He went back to the court and got a stay of execution. When they got that stay of execution, they mounted pressure on the ministry, and there was crisis in the council. And then there was a kind of an understanding whereby they had an internal assessment 6 months after, and they formed what we call the NTC. Ajani was chairman, and he was deputy.
What is NTC?
National Transition Committee.
Okay.
Then they filed it in court. There was a consent judgment backing it up. But the court said they should conduct election within 6 months. They stayed 6 months, they did not do election. 2 years, 1 year, they did not do election. Then towards the end, a congress was convened. That was this Akure you hear about. They convened the congress in Akure. That was that congress which could not hold because I heard there was a security report, like he said. The governor then, Mimiko, said he cannot hold, and whatever, the congress did not hold in Accra. That was where Henry Wabes, that he's representing, came into the picture. He declared himself president as a result of the inability of Akure to hold.